12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode 90. I am your host, Kenneth L. Watson Jr. Tonight's guest is John Jeremy. He is from New York. He's a recording artist. Got some good music up on Spotify. Got a chance to listen to a few of his tracks, as well as he's in recovery. I will say he has over 8 years, if I am correct, but I'll confirm that once I bring him in. Before I do that, 12facesofsober.com can get you a signed copy of my book, as well as you can shop merch. I have t-shirts on there, look nice in the summertime, supporting 12 Faces of Sober. And let's see what else. I'm still working on the children's book as well as an army book. Now that the announcement about me having a son on the way, I might alter the children's book, so I'm having a direct conversation with him. So, but look out for that. Like I said, both books will be out later on this year. I'm looking at roughly around November. So, but of course, I'll keep talking about it as I go through the journey. So, like I said before, jump in. Hello, happy. What's today? Thursday. Another day sober for me is always a blessing. If you're still struggling with alcohol and drugs, reach out to someone that you trust, or even a stranger, and hopefully they'll be able to help you. And like I said, you can reach out to me if you're a woman who would prefer a woman. I can guide you in that. A woman of color, I know a great amount of people, not only just women of color, but just women in general, as far as in the sober community, and brothers too. If you want a male of color, younger, older, I got connects for that too as well. So like I said, yeah, it's a children's book about baseball. I played baseball as a kid, and I was pretty decent. And so I wrote the book about it. And basically, like I said, it was just me, growing up. But now I want to tell the story as if, my son is, sitting next to me, and I'm saying, hey, this is what happened to me as a child. So, but enough of that. Let me go ahead and bring in John. Let me see. Hold on a minute. Doing hope your day is going good. Let's see if it go through. There we go.
Did the camera? There we go.
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Yo, what's going on? How's it going?
Man, I'm chilling, bro. How's it going out there? Where you at right now? You in New York, or you out there traveling?
Yeah. No. I'm in New York.
Okay, what part of New York?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Fixed it. Yeah. Right now I'm in Suffolk County on Long Island.
Okay.
So I'm chilling out over here. Oh. Yeah. It's a beautiful day.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm out here in Minnesota dealing with this crazy. I'm sure the air quality is pretty bad out there too. How is that?
Oh, yeah. It's all over the news. We have a lot of advisories, and they're warning us to make sure that we take care of ourselves. And they said they're going to send us a notification if we need to, just to be careful and watch out. Yeah, the air quality is crazy right now.
Most definitely. But like I said, welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking time out, your busy schedule, to come on, share your story, talk music. You know what I'm saying? Because you're the second recording artist that I've had on the podcast. He isn't in recovery, but he grew up in my neighborhood. So I have a radio background, so I try to throw in a few, artists, if not, professional athletes. Because like I said, I got the broadcasting background, so I try to show love. You know what I mean? So we'll talk about that in a little bit, though. But so how long have you been in recovery?
Well, I've been in recovery as far as I got introduced to recovery around 2011.
Okay.
So I've been coming around recovery since 2011. I've been sober still since 2013. So this October 13th, I'll have 10 years of continuous recovery from every mind-altering substance besides caffeine.
Yeah, that seems to be the weakness of a lot of people in recovery.
Yeah, no, people go wild for that. And of course, they, you know, that's what they replaced. They had cocaine and Coca-Cola, and when that became illegal, they had to replace it with something close enough to cocaine, and they found that caffeine was the next best thing. So, you know, goes to show you, caffeine is pretty, yeah, it's pretty powerful.
So so you've been around recovery for you said since 2011, or no, was it 2008 or 2011? Which one was it? What was the year?
2011 I got introduced to recovery. Yeah, I got introduced to knowing that I had something going on and a problem that needed to be dealt with.
And so what was that problem that that kind of got you curious in, you know, getting into the community?
Well, when I was out there, I really didn't feel I had a problem or there was any type of problem. I was just like everyone else, kind of living my life, you know, drinking, using, you know, everything was like party here, party there, or not even party. Like I would go to the movies and bring these little bottles with me to watch movies. And really, I didn't really see much of a problem, even though I was driving drunk all the time. But that's my first DWI in 2011 was what introduced me to all those mandated things that I had to go to. So I went into like those MAD classes and had to go to, like, you know, all these outpatients, and probation was sending me and to all these things. So I had to definitely, you know, get involved. You know, I definitely, that's what opened the door for me, you know, to bring me some awareness.
So what was life for you, like growing up, like as far as I would say, like, was alcohol and drugs present in the home, or was that something that you experimented like later on in life?
I feel like when I was growing up, I don't remember when it was, but my father was an alcoholic and my parents were divorced when I was like really young, like 6 years old. So I don't remember seeing any of that around the house. So there really wasn't anything in the house, you know, and I still picked up the behaviors because like 9, 10 years old, I started to like take the liquor from the liquor shelf that my mom had. I'd take some Puerto Rican rum and put it in a plastic bottle and start to drink it. So I had no idea that there was, you know, any type of, first of all, that type of behavior, like, where did I pick it up? I really don't know. I don't remember like any of that, but they had, like, my mom had liquor in the house, but she wasn't a drinker. You know, she wasn't any of that. She wasn't a smoker really, or a drinker or any of that.
So as you're getting older, did you, like, you know, was it like the crowd that you was running with, in terms of like it may have increased, you know, your curiosity to use? What was it like? How was that for you?
Yeah, you know, looking back now, for sure, I think, you know, you know, I heard before that, like, you're the summation of the 5 people that you hang out with. And I definitely feel like recently I've came up with this concept. I think like last week I was thinking, I was like, wow, you know, you know, this person has a chip on their shoulder. And I was like, you know what? I kind of have the same chip. I tend to like gravitate towards the people that have the same chip on their shoulders. It's just something that like, you know, human beings are tribal like that. We tend to kind of like, you know, congregate with people that are similar to us, or something that we find attractive in that nature that's similar within us. So I definitely gravitated towards the people that were like probably just as you know, maybe introverted as I was, or just friends, people that I talk to. I guess anybody that would talk to me, to be honest. That's how I make friends. Like, whoever would talk to me or be cool with me, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it was. And then they just turned out that they were drinking and smoking, and it got really bad in high school. So yeah, you know, that's when I got introduced to drugs and stuff. Like, I never did cocaine or acid and pills and stuff like that until I went to high school. So which is probably like a lot of people's similar experience.
Yeah, like that.
You know?
When you said the acid, man, you taking me back to like the early 90s when I was in junior high school, because my junior high school had a big drug bust of that back in, I think it was like 92 out in San Diego. I was like, man, like, this is what goes on in junior high. So it just kind of made me think, like, you know, the generations, it's like, okay, you waited to high school to be, you know, be exposed to that. Shoot, man, our school was locked down. We had TV cameras, you know, TV crews at our school and stuff. So now you're hanging out with this, you know, with that group of people, like-minded, you know, you're experimenting, you know, when did it actually become like a problem to where, like, you know, you found it like, okay, I can't manage, you know, my day-to-day living?
Yeah. Oh man, for sure. That didn't even happen even after, I mean, I felt that there was some issues, to be honest, like towards my like, you know, 20, like I said, 2011, I got that DWI. I kind of felt like what I was doing was a little dangerous, drinking and driving all the time, or drinking and like being in public, and like, you know, I was feeling it, but I wasn't like, yeah, I didn't get to that point where like, man, this is like some real problem. So when I got I think my second DWI, which was in 2012, I was in a rehab in Brooklyn. And I remember, you know, being in there, and one day in the rehab, this guy was there, you know, he was walking back and forth, and like he stopped and he's just like, "What are you in here for?" And I said, "You know, like drinking and alcohol." He's like, "Yeah." I'm a recovering crackhead. That's what he said. He goes, and I'll tell you, he goes, alcohol is worse than crack. He told me, he was like, he goes, I can't stop drinking, man. And that's what he said to me. And it made like a big impact, because, you know, I'm very familiar, you know, with freebasing behind like Chase Bank at 3 a.m. with my girlfriend, you know, like these type of places and things that I'm an addict. So it brought me to these places. And like, you know, I think around 2013, I was like drinking and doing cocaine after, like, you know, trying to get better with these 12-step programs, and it wasn't even working at that time. Like, it was working, had some time, it was working a little bit, but then after a while it wasn't working. And then that's when I realized for myself, that's when I was like, I can't do this, I can't manage it. Like, I finally understood what it meant. I'm trying to fight this thing. That's the problem. That's always been the problem with everything in my life. Whatever's bigger than me, I'm trying to handle this fear that's too big for me, or this addiction that's too big for me, or like, you know, this mountain of a problem that's obviously way too big for me, and I'm trying to take it on myself. And it's like trying to fight the ocean, trying to stop the waves from coming in. I can't, you know, I'm a human being.
Now, you talk about the 2 DWIs. You don't have to give out a dollar amount, but it's not even so much of a scare tactic. It's an informative tactic. So, you know, if you want to touch on, like, you know, did you have to do any jail time? Did you have to pay any hefty fines for those DWIs? Did you lose your license, damage cars, stuff like that? Because we need to inform them, hey, you want to continue to drink, hey, you get behind the wheel, these are some of the repercussions.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, my first DWI, I remember I gotten, you know, it was definitely thousands of dollars. Like, you know, somebody once told me, if you're gonna go drinking and driving, at least have 10,000 saved for the lawyer and the fees and all that, just to begin with. So, you know, I could definitely say, you know, probably, you know, like less than that for me on my second one, but I definitely don't remember the first one. But I do remember that I had to remember, because when I here in New York, when I went on probation, probably all over, but when I went here in New York on probation, I had to pay for probation. I had to pay for the piss test. It's coming out of my pocket. And then, but I did lose my license the first time, but then I got it back so quickly. So, and like, no, maybe that year or so. But anyway, it was quicker than it should have been. So what happened was, when I got my second DWI within 3 years. So that was a big, like, it went against me a lot. So when I ended up getting a second DWI, which I didn't have to do any jail time for either of them, just a bullpen, just staying overnight, or being sent to the jail, but like not having to stay too long, you know, just coming out and being able to get bail and all that stuff. But yeah, the second time within 3 years, definitely a lot of lawyer fees and a lot of it was a lot. I got my license back though within that year too, which I shouldn't have. It was such a blessing. And the thing is that, like, everyone's different. Every case is different. Every single person, like, I could have the same exact issue, blow the same exact, BAC or anything like that as someone else. But, you know, for some reason, it's just that I really don't know why the law, like, two individuals can deal with the same thing, but have someone could probably end up paying 20,000, 25,000, you know, and someone could pay 5. But you know what? It's still money that I don't want to shell out. And being, you know, messed up with drinking and stuff like that, it's definitely a hindrance in every which way you could look at it, you know?
Yeah, and like I said, that's it's important to have that type of discussion too, because like I said, a lot of people, you know, and I myself too. I mean, I've rode right, you know, a cop was right behind me with an open container and just kept on driving in Arizona. So I get it. Well, I was fortunate enough not to have a DUI or DWI, but you know, people need to know, like, okay, are you willing to pay lawyer fees? Are you willing to, you know, spend, you know, even if it's overnight or however many hours behind bars? Like, it's freedom is freedom. You know what I'm saying? And I love it. But I think it's important to have that discussion because, like I said, a lot of people aren't thinking about it when they actually do get behind the wheel. So it's definitely it's good to hear, okay, what it is. I mean, yes, like you said, you were able to get your license back, but the next person it might not be, and then being a repeat offender, that could be 5 years suspended. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. It just, like I said, each situation is different.
You
Now,
you don't even know, like, when I got my DWI back in 2013, and then like I got introduced to like trying to get recovered. I met a kid who was 21 years old, and he was also trying to get better like I was, and he was there, and he killed somebody drinking and driving. So he stayed sober for that year, but after that year, he went away. He's still up there to this day, from what I know. And he, you know, imagine carrying that with you, being drunk, being a kid, or being young, or being whoever, and just like you drink, you don't know what's gonna happen, and then you get behind the wheel, and like he kills someone, you know, but like he's still sober. That's amazing. Those are inspiring stories. Like that kid, I think about that kid to this day. Like I was like, I don't know if I could have stayed sober knowing that I'm gonna go to jail, because I probably would have just said, F it, like I need to go and drink because this is a lot. But like, you never know if you kill somebody. I know this guy that I heard a story where this guy had 30 years without drinking, and then he thought he could drink. He drank, and literally that same day or week, like he ended up killing his own children in a driving accident. So drinking and driving is not, you know, if you can't control your drinking, you know, if you lost the ability to control it, like, trust me, it's way better. Get an Uber. Get you know, get the thing, you know, that just whatever. You don't have the money, find the money, because you're gonna pay lawyer fees anyway if you get caught driving, if you don't kill anybody. So I just want to say that.
Facts. Now, when you I know you said you going back to like speaking about the friends and the people you were hanging out with, was there anybody that was around you that was like, hey, you have a problem, or you need to work on these things, you need to fix this? Like, was there anybody like in your corner, like saying, hey, okay, I'm here for you, but you got to make some corrections within yourself?
Yeah. Oh man, I think I lost all my friends. All my friends that were able to hang out with me just enough time, like they're not able to hang out with me anymore. Like, you know, I was too much for them. They had to babysit me. Not only did they have to babysit me, they were afraid of me because they couldn't control me. I couldn't control myself. So everyone was trying to be nice, was trying to be loving, and trying to look out for me. And I lost control, you know, definitely. I couldn't control it, you know. I didn't know what's going to come out of my mouth, and I didn't know what kind of actions were going to happen. So I think everybody, to be honest, everybody eventually had to make boundaries. And back then, you know, we weren't really talking about boundaries like we do in 2023. So,
True.
you know, I think things are beautiful now, you know, and we're able to understand things a little better. But yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's interesting, because it, like, I don't know, I just made me think, like, what the heck was I doing in 2013? Like, I was deep in like, I was like 2 years still in the Army. I think I had 2 more years left in 2013, and I was deep. I was in El Paso, Texas, and I was hating life, hating everything around me. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. You know what I'm saying? So now you have made the decision to, okay, eliminate everything as far as the substance. What was those steps? What were you telling yourself to get your mind prepared for this next journey?
Honestly, my mind was in a state, like I've mentioned before, that I was at this jumping off point where it's like I couldn't imagine my life, you know, continuing down this road, which I didn't I didn't really want to do it, but I can't imagine not drinking. I can't imagine not smoking. Like I told you before, I would take bottles into the movie theaters. I would take bottles into the park, into the beach, you know, into the mall, into every facet of life. Like, you know, that is obviously not healthy. And it was just my life. Like, so to picture my life without it, that mindset was definitely just in a whole different world. You know, I had to hang out. So I hung out with people that were like-minded, that drank and did drugs like me. So my journey was I had to hang out with people that were addicts like me, or people that drank and drugged like me, and then I had to learn from them, observe them, and then kind of do what they did. You know, when in Rome, you know, that's how they say it. So when I was hanging out with those people that were doing drugs, I wasn't like, oh, that's cool, you're doing drugs, I'm not gonna do it. Like, no, they were doing drugs, I was doing drugs. Now I hang out with people, they're not doing drugs, I'm not doing drugs. Like, you know, we have that like-mindedness. And again, humans are tribal, so I need to get in where I fit in and get with my people, you know?
And that's good to, you know, remove yourself from one, you know, set core group of people, and then making it a shift where it's almost like you said, the like-minded individuals who may have similar stories, backgrounds, and offer the right kind of support than those same friends that you might have been drinking and drugging with.
Yeah, just like us, like me and you, we like-minded people with sobriety and a message, and content creators, and all of us, like, you know, have this community that it's like, oh, hey, like, you know, you hit me up, and I was like, yeah, because we're the same. We
Right.
You know, we have that in common. So like you know, that's how it works for me. You know, that's how I believe it works.
Now, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna put you on the spot. Now,
Yeah.
how did recovery look like pre, you know, social media? I mean, social media was out in 2013, but the actual recovery community, it might have been a small faction, but it wasn't as large as it is today.
Yeah. It was totally different. There wasn't. What happens is that with social media, there's not a lot of access. So what happened was, now technology has made the world smaller. But back then, it was so like, you know, just vast, and like, you know, I'm getting, so my help came from who was in front of me. You know what I mean? But as things blew up and social media connected us, like now, look at me, you know, here in New York, you're, you know, in Minneapolis, right? Or Minnesota?
Yeah, I'm in St. Paul, next door, you know, Minneapolis, like 5 minutes.
So like, you know, how easy was it for us to connect? How easy is it for us to, like, you know, like, you know, even talk, and people logging on and listen to us and identifying with, like, you know, like you said, I have this mindset that isn't working for me anymore. Now I get to connect with people that haven't. Back then, so we didn't have that. So that, like, it was just who was kind of in front of me. Like back in the day, like people think, you know, it was nicer back in the day without technology, without phones, without so-called distractions. But I like my life today, it was a transition with social media. My social media is awesome. Like everyone that I talk to or follow or whatever, like they're all what I want to hear. What I want to hear is realness, positivity. I don't need you to be, you know, toxic, you know, like fake positivity, you know, like be real. You know, if you're hurting, share that you're hurting, and like, you know, cause I'll share that I'm hurting, and like show people like all the facets of me, you know, and that way I have something to connect with you with, because my experiences connect me with you. That's how that works. Like I'm able to say, like, you know, man, I'm having a rough day, I'm having a rough mental day. You know, how many people have recovery from this? I have a mental illness, and then I learned, you know, I had anxiety disorder. Then I learned about, you know, compulsiveness and codependency issues. Like it kept going on and growing, and I didn't even know about boundaries until people, and then when I learned about them, I started to get better, because I started to form better boundaries with people that I needed to, and that just opened up a whole new world. So it's always growing because of social media. So back then, it was great. It was great, but I love, the fact that this social media has opened up doors and made it a lot different than it was in the beginning. Because technology, it changes so fast. I mean, I can learn everything on one platform, and then by next year, that's obsolete. I got to learn a whole new platform I had to keep learning all these new platforms, but it keeps me fresh.
To keep up with the latest new TikTok or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Next year,
yeah.
TikTok times 10 or something. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Now, you brought up something that was a good point. Boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries is something that's not talked about enough, and especially from coming from this standpoint. Okay, now you're in recovery. There's some people that are still out there actively using, and sometimes they may think you're better than them now because you've made that choice to give that up and have a better life. And so, how was that for you? Like, did you find yourself like someone where you like, man, this is one of my aces. This is like my number one. Now I can't even hang with you no more because I know what that could lead me to or bring me back down a road that I don't even want to see.
Yeah, no, for sure. One of the first things I learned was having to make sure that I watch out for certain people that were in my area, certain places that I used to frequent and probably use a lot. I still go to certain places and catch flashbacks. Like I said, if I'm in this area that I used to freebase behind that bank, or I used to sleep in those woods because I was such an alcoholic, I lost everything and ended up sleeping in the woods, and living out there and being homeless, or driving to certain areas and things that I had in my life that I really liked. And music was one of them. I quit music entirely when I started to get sober in 2013, but that lasted only a couple of months. And I really had that musician in me, and I couldn't stop. And my buddy asked me, he said, "You really quit music?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, my best friend was like, "Can you at least make some songs for me?" I said, "Sure." And ended up making 17 tracks for him. And I wrote with the intention is just for him. So I opened up, and I was as funny, and I was just as like clever or whatever, because I knew that it would get a rise out of him. And lo and behold, I liked all 17 tracks, and I just put them on a CD and put it on Bandcamp and let people rock to that. And that was back in 2014. So like that, I thought I had to get away from certain things, and I did. And they say real friends will understand, and if they don't, everything will work out, true friendship, true people that love you and care about you. If they really care about you, I think that, your peoples will want you to get better. That's what I think. I would hope so, at least my family and friends that would want me to get better. But I also get if they don't understand, so maybe people that are listening to this, if you're getting sober or ever got sober or anything like that, and you find a difficulty with like your spouses or your children or your families and like your friends or like your best friends and bosses and like, acquaintances and just general life, like, it's not always going to be like that. It will even out, continue down the journey. I have to honor myself first, and some people may not like that. And even now in 2023, there's people that don't like that. And that's okay. I honor their ability. I honor their, whatever they believe. I respect that, you don't think I'm right. You think I'm wrong. You think I'm this, I'm stuck up or not, or whatever. Like, great. That I let you believe like what you're going to believe. Like, I'm not going to tell you, no, I'm not. Because I got to do what I got to do for myself. I got to protect myself. But I promise that it is for a good reason, because I do want to do things for the good, because I will come back more positive. And one day you may need my help, maybe not from addictive stuff, but from anything else. And now I can be a better person to help you, so I really got to be not selfish, but I just definitely got to take care of myself in order to be a better person for you guys, you know? That's how it works for me, today in my life. That's for me. And if anybody likes that and wants to adopt it, they could always DM me. They can chat. People, hit me up. And, like you talking, like that's what we do. That's what I think that all these, podcasts and books and, every type of outlet is for.
Right. Now, speaking of music, now I got to shift the hat and be like a radio personality and ask those questions. For those that don't know, I also have a radio background. Now, at what age did you pick up the pen and paper and say, I think I want to do this?
I think like 9. I think I was young, but I do remember my father, because my parents were divorced when I was 6. I remember my father calling me, and I don't remember how old I was, but I was young, So he ended up at some point in his life. He wore so many hats, but let's say he was a general contractor for generally most of his life. But at one point in his life, he used to manage a salsa
Okay.
band, and he used to be the manager. And he was very creative. He can draw. He had a lot of things. You know, he chose to go the route of the blue collar worker, but he was very creative. And he ended up calling the house one day and wanted to speak to me. And I was very, very young. And I was like, yeah, hey, how's it going, Dad? And he said, John, you know, I was at work and I was thinking about you. And like, I wrote this song, and like, he recited me some of the lyrics, and it ended up being a rap. And
Hmm.
I don't remember the rap except for for the first sentence. It was just like, hey, y'all, my name is John. I'm coming out to sing this song, or something like that.
Hmm.
Like, that's what he wrote for me. So my dad was my first
Okay.
ghostwriter, you know?
Okay.
Nah, and he was my last. I never had that. I actually like to write for people.
Okay.
I love to write. So I used to draw a lot. I used to, you know, and then I stopped doing that because I actually saw other kids that were better than me at drawing, and it just like, I kind of was that type of person. If I couldn't be the best and I didn't want to do it, I was so young, and that's the type of mentality I had. And like, but like, all that artistic form started to come out through writing. So I love writing. I love words. I love reading. I love looking at things, and I love, like, you know, I still love to, you know, I haven't drawn in such a long time. I mean, I drew a couple of months ago. I started getting back into it, but like, writing more than rapping, because I don't know, like, where I grew up, hip hop for me is very sacred and special. I don't know how it is nowadays. It's changed a lot. Back in the day, you had to earn your spot. Nowadays, I don't feel like you have to. You just have to sound. You could just, you know, come in and rock and do your thing. You know, back then it was a lot different, but like, it was just more of like what the area, you know, New York, especially New York, just generally anywhere in New York. It is my life. It isn't like it isn't like rap isn't, it's an extension of who I am on the inside. Like, whatever I'm on the inside, it just comes
Hmm.
out as like through my style, you know, through my, you know, because they had the four elements, was like the DJ, the producer, the beat maker, the rapper, you know what I'm saying, the break dancer. But like, you know, we should add style in there. There should be like a fifth element of like style and how we rocked and how it was coming up. Like, I always say I'm not like a sober person that raps. I've always been like a rapper that just happens to be
Hmm.
sober. That's who I am. You got to switch that up. You know,
Hmm.
like, I love, this is my culture, and I get very defensive and passionate when it comes to talking about hip hop and rap, because like, I've changed and evolved so much to what I am now.
Hmm.
I'm kind of lax. I don't have to like bar anybody out. Like, you know, I don't have to like, you know, or like prove that I
Hmm.
can rap anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there is that inside of me when I hear somebody coming out, you know, they're cooking, and I'm like, yo, it brings that up in me. And I'm like, you know, I want to, it inspires me to, like, you know, sometimes write songs where I want to show that I can still display some sort of technique and flex a little bit, you know? I love hip hop, you know? It is who I am. It's not what I do. It's just who I am,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
That's
it's nothing like
it.
it's nothing like growing up in the hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? It definitely is something that you just gotta kind of have to be there. You know what I'm saying, to understand it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Now, I one of the tracks that I got a chance to listen to. I listened to a couple of different albums, but one that stood out was, you know, had a catchy hook, nice beat to it, was the Friends one. Off, I think there was, I think, volume two. Yes, I wanted to
Yeah.
point that out, and then also, like, your style of music is great. I definitely like it, and I'm a very big critic of music. You know what I'm saying? And the one thing I like about it is that the message itself is good. You got flows. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that's different from today's music, is that there's not true substance. And I'm saying that, and I stand on it. And I know a lot of people in the industry that can. Oh damn! I'm getting a phone call. No worries. But yeah, so it's one of those things that, you know, that I like and appreciate myself. Now, what rappers or rapper inspired you to get into the game?
Nas was my first. Nas, it was written, even though he had Illmatic.
Okay.
Nas, everybody asks me like and like, people like, they think it would be Eminem or something like that. But what happened was, you know, when I listened to interviews, like people like Fat Joe, like Fat Joe said, like LL Cool J was his like top guy, and it's like, really, like you sound nothing like LL Cool J to me, you know, and like you know, you know, you hear people like Eminem, and he's the same thing, like, you know, LL Cool J, or like, you know, Lords of the Underground, or people like that, like. And for me, it was Nas, and Nas, it was written like I opened it up like that CD. Back in the day, people, when we used to have CDs, you know, and you would open it up and pull it out, and it was written, and it was all written out, and his flow and his cadence and the way he came out, and I wanted to sound like him. So, you know, coming up in New York, like you know, those are the top guys, like, at least, like, you know, I mean, before, there was always top guys, like, all over the country. We got great lyricists, MCs. Really, it's just, I think the substance is the heart, you know? So that's what gives the substance. When there's no heart in the music, I feel, then that's what I cannot connect with. So that's what gives lyricism its thing, because I heard people that were able to be technical, so technical. A lot of kids can be really technical, or even a lot of kids nowadays, they're rapping fast, but they're not saying much, you know, or anything at all. And the thing is that, because when I heard, you know, Biggie, when I heard Big Pun, when I heard these guys that were, you know, they were passionate about it. Their heart was in it. You know, I believed these men for what they were saying. You know, even they could talk about, like, Big Pun could talk about, like, grabbing the moon, playing basketball, and slamming it, and, you know, doing a slam dunk with the moon in his hand. And it's like, I believe you. I believe that you can do that, you know? So when I hear some people, I'm like, you know, I really don't believe it. You know, it sounds good, but it's not there. It's missing that X factor. And that's what it is. The X factor is that, like, I believe, and I can only stay in my lane, you know? I respect my own lane, so I know I try to, like, when I see myself writing stuff or doing something, I'm like, that's not really who I am. Like, that's not me. It's not sounding right because it isn't right, you know? Stay in my lane. That's what sobriety gave me, where it's like, I didn't talk about sobriety till 2017, and I was sober at 2013 throughout that, and that's when I was like, there's a new level of music that had to come out, this recovery stuff. And now I talk about relationship addictions, a lot about romance addictions and stuff like that, and it's evolving. You know, it's going to continue to grow, where I'm going to learn more about myself, and I'm working on some new stuff that, like, it's going to be a mixture of what I like and what I want to write and what I want to put out, but also with the consciousness of knowing that other people are going to listen to it. So how can I best serve them with my talent, you know, the talent that God gave me, because he made me, not, you know, I'm just lucky enough to be able to use it, you know, I guess.
And what type of response have you been getting from those sober tracks? Like, just
Oh, man.
you got relationship, you hitting on different, you know, which is good. That's you know, a variety of music instead of just talking about one thing. You know, it can get you further than just talking about the same two things, drugs and guns, you know. So what type of response have you been getting?
Like, well, when I put out the sober music in 2017, like, that's when I blew up, you know, that's when everything went crazy. That's when I started to, like, become, my old Instagram got hacked. So, you know, I was cooking with that one a lot, and it really hurt me. I just had to make a new one. And situate myself with that. But now I'm back and getting the new one. I can't even find all my old, I don't remember any of the names, and I can't find them on the thing. So I'm just letting it rock and letting everything unfold as it is. But, you know, I feel like for myself that, like, you know, I see now, like, you know, this whole community of people, like, you know, like what it is, you know. So,
and then
yeah.
Now this is something that, you know, it holds near and dear to me. And how has your mental health improved throughout your recovery journey?
My mental health has completely, you know, changed. Like, I'm not the same person that I was, you know. It's improved vastly, like the way my brain moves, the way my brain thinks, my confidence, my self-esteem, and everything like that. Like, recovery in all aspects has grown. And, like, when I do songs about, like, relationships now, or, like, you know, these other the way addiction kind of, like, you know, branches out, or roots, whatever you want to call it, kind of changes its form. It's all the same thing. It's all sobriety, right? Like, you know, am I living or thinking sober? And I think that that's how, you know, I'm able to keep everything, all in the same family and share that, with people.
And then I try to go through, my guest page and find quotes that stick out and how it can relate to me. And I found two. The first one is, I would rather stay sober than to have to get sober all over again. That right there stood out, and I've been talking about that the last couple of days. It's like my definition from it is like, we know what life was like when we were actively in our addiction. We didn't know what life looked like on the other side because we were so deep in it. And this is all we were used to. Like you said, you were, just like me, I was drinking 24/7. So, when you say, oh, you're getting high behind a grocery store at 3 a.m, I can understand, because I was drinking at 3 a.m. and had to go to work at 5. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I totally get it. But I know that person that I was, the angry guy, confrontational, waking up scrapes and bruises, I don't want to be that guy no more. I'm more at peace. I'm more just chill. And I still don't know what the sober life is going to bring me, but I know what that drunk life brought me. And it brought me a lot of pain and problems. And I don't want either one of those anymore, And then the second one, there's two types of people in this world: those who want to understand and those who don't. And what I got from that was, it goes back to that thing when, you said early in the conversation of, once you get to that point, you don't know what's going to happen when you're super high or super drunk. You don't know your reaction. You don't know, are you going to get in trouble? Are you going to want to fight one of your friends? Are you going to get behind the wheel? And I personally don't, I try to tell people, like, if you find yourself getting into more trouble when you're using, then 9 times out of 10, you might want to go ahead and give it up or go do something else, because that is not helping you in life. And so those are the two things that I share. But before we conclude, like I said, usually what I do is, I know you have a good message. You got more time under your belt, so you have, you face more experiences through your journey. So I usually have our guests, my guests, leave with some nice, inspiring, something that, like, today somebody was like, okay, I want to drink. Now listening to this, that may alter, or I don't want to use, by just listening to this conversation tonight. So I give you the floor, and that's how I typically close it out.
Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was really good. You were talking about your sobriety, and I think that, like, you're like, I don't know what sobriety is gonna look like, and like, sobriety looks really great, that it brought us together, and I'm able to have a conversation with you. And congratulations on the baby, and
thanks, bro.
Thank you for the service, and I really appreciate you as a person, and like that. That is what sobriety could bring for me. So it's always an exciting thing. So if I left on anything, I would do that too. When I would share and do some content creating, I'd ask people what they want to leave off on. And I think what's coming to my head right now, at least off the top of it, would be kind of like, this is an adventure. Life is an adventure. So like, when I kind of lose my cool, when I feel very sad and down on myself or the world, or when I'm very angry and upset because, I can't accept the way things are happening, that's great. That's an adventure. I can't stop these things from happening. Everything's always going to be unfolding the way it should be. And it is easier to stay sober than it is to get sober all over again, because whatever I think I want to drink over is going to pass, whether I drink or not. So it's probably better off that I don't drink. There's no reason that I need to drink ever again. And if anybody's listening and they're struggling with drinking, just know that from this moment on, you never have to have another drink or drug for the rest of your life. That is really the truth. And how I did it was, I got connected with people, and we're people. So you can come and, contact us, and, my hand is always out. And I know that, you're doing great work with this, and that's what I feel deep down in my. Just remember that it doesn't have to look the unknown doesn't have to look scary, because that's how I thought when I was at the jumping off point. So just look at life as an adventure, because that's all it will ever be once this is done and said and over with. It is an adventure, and you might as well, you can be bitter through it, or you can might as well enjoy the ride. So I hope you guys enjoyed the ride.
Oh, and you know what I forgot? Plug where they can get your music, download it, where, purchase it, where can they get everything, John Jeremy?
Yeah, of course. I am trying to see if I could write it down and put it in the thing. Right there, johnjeremy.com. Jon, I put it in the little chat thing, JONJEREMY.com. I kept it very simple. You want to find all my social media links is that I'm rocking on. I have a GoFundMe to help to produce this new album. You can contact me. Very simple, johnjeremy.com. I hope that you can write me and find me on social media and talk to me and find all the new content coming out.
And I appreciate you coming on tonight. Great conversation. It's always good to hear, a recovery successful story. We have bumps in the road, mistakes, but it's good that you're still on it and you're providing hope for, brothers like myself who needs it, who needs to hear the stories, and others need to hear it as well. And like I said, man, I will definitely be in contact because I want to, use some of your music on some of my things. Of course, got to get the clearance, you know what I'm saying? But again, man, continued, support from me. 12 Faces Sober is here if you need anything, like I said. But thank you, man. This is an open door to, to something that could be big later on. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, man, much luck to you and success, man, as you continue, on this recovery journey, bro.
Thank you, brother. You too, man.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is another wonderful episode of 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate those who've listened all the way through, poked their heads in, left, or whatever, or those who are watching after the fact. Thanks again. Tune in about another week or two. I'll have another podcast live. Y'all be safe, be blessed, and reach out to somebody if you need that help, because we are here. Y'all be blessed. Take care.
Peace.
All right, now. Boom.